Hey guys, Miss Yeager here. I'm just going over your quiz review. So I posted this online and it's everything you need to know for your test. So you can go ahead and follow along. Your quiz is going to be over solving by graphing, rate of change, and converting standard vertex and intercept forms. So at first glance, the first thing you'll have to know is that if I give you a graph, to know everything I have here in orange. So know where your y-intercept is, know your vertex, know this is your axis of symmetry, it's always x equals 2, and then also know that where it intercepts the x-axis, those are called the x-intercepts, the solutions, the roots, and the zeros. Okay, you can write these as x equals what they are or as points. Okay, so next, can you find the average rate of change between the interval 0 to 2 if I were to give you this graph? So at 0, that's this right here, and at 2, that's where x is 2, is right here. Okay, so I already have both of them labeled for you, which you would have to know how to do. So this is saying this is going to be 0, comma, negative 1.25 and 2, comma, 2.5. Okay, so these are decimals. That's just because I made up the problem, but just know if they're whole numbers, you do it the same way. So then after you label them, I label them x1, y1, and x2, y2. First point gets the ones, second point gets the twos. Okay, then you plug it into the formula for average rate of change. Okay, so don't forget your average rate of change. I have later, but it's your y's subtracted over your x's subtracted. Okay, so if you do the second minus the first, you have to do the second minus the first. Okay, so if I plug that in, that'd be 2.5 minus a negative 1.25 over 2 minus 0. Okay, don't forget two negatives make a positive. Okay, if you do forget though, use your calculator. Okay, so this should end up being 3.75 over 2. If I don't do it like that, use your calculator. 3.75 divided by 2 gives me 1.875. Okay, so this is your final answer. Yes, I know it looks weird because it's decimal. No, I'm not going to round it because it terminates, which means it stops. Okay. I think the ones in your quiz, though, are whole numbers. Like I said, I just made this up when I was sketching it, so that's why it looks weird. Okay, but this should also make sense. Oh. What did I mess up? This should be a negative because when I go from here to here, it's going down. So what did I do? 0 is negative 1.25. Oh, I left off my negative here. This should be a negative. I messed up on my original problem when I labeled it. So this changes. This is going to change. See, y'all, even I make mistakes. That didn't erase that at all. That's okay. So this should be a negative. So this is actually, use my calculator. I can't see that. There we go. This should be negative 2.5 plus 1.25. This should be negative 1.25 divided by 2, which is actually negative 0.625. So that's my new final answer. So if you're watching this, hopefully you put the negative on the vertex because I forgot it when I first did it. Okay, which now makes sense because going from here to here is going down. Okay, it's decreasing. Okay, the next thing you have to know is how, oh, too far, is how to find the axis of symmetry. We already quizzed you on this, but you still need to know it. Okay, so this is your formula for it. So your ABCs, A, B, C. So my A is 2, my B is -4, and my C is 1. Okay, so then I just plug it in. So it's going to be x equals, it's always x equals, -b, so -4. Okay, if you want to, you can put parentheses around it, over 2 times A is 2. Okay, so this ends up being x equals 4/4, which equals 1. So my final answer would be x equals 1. Okay, so remember, this is also the x of your vertex. So I could also ask you to find the vertex of this. I'm not going to, but I could. Okay. The next thing you need to know is converting. So for converting, you need to know standard to vertex and also standard intercept. So standard to vertex means you need to first find your vertex. It's telling you what to do, vertex. And I gave you how to find that. So remember, x equals -b/2a, plug it in. Okay. Then you have to find your xy is really your hk, and then you plug it into the formula. Okay, so we're going to do an example for that now. So for this example, the first thing I have to do is find the vertex, which means I have to do my ABCs just like I did a second ago. Okay, so my A is 2, my B is -4, and my C is 8. Remember, we're not using the C, but we still need to find it. Okay, my equation, I wrote it up here for you, but you need to learn how to memorize that because we do not give that to you. Okay, is x equals, I'm going to write it again, -b/2a. So this is going to equal -4 over 2a is 2 times 2. So that's a 4/4, which is a 1. Okay, so I've already gotten part of my vertex. Okay, so my vertex is xy. I already found my x is 1. Now to find the y, I got to plug it in. So I'm just going to call it the y vertex. Okay, so I'm plugging into this equation up here. So 2 times 1 squared minus 4 times, not -1, 4 times 1 plus 8. Okay, you can use a calculator or do it by hand. This is 2 times 1 minus 4 plus 8, 2 minus 4 plus 8, 2 and 8 is 10, 10 minus 4 is 6. Okay, so this is 1, 6 is your vertex. Okay, so what that means is I need to use, this is what's going to look like. Okay, so besides finding my vertex, I also need my A because that's what goes out front. Well, I already have it. So this is going to be y equals A is 2, something squared, and then something at the end. Okay, so it's always going to be an x. Okay, the part at the end stays. That's the 6. That's a plus 6. However, this part inside is the opposite of whatever this is. So this is a positive 1. So in here, you need to write -1. That's what I mean by up here. Don't forget HK, that's your vertex. You use the opposite of H, keep K. So if I was going to go from here to here, I'd say, okay, my vertex is the opposite of -1, is +1, keep 6. Okay, so don't forget, it's the opposite, keep. Doesn't matter which way you go, it's always opposite, keep. Okay, then if you go standard to intercept, that just means you're going to factor. Okay, and don't forget, what you always check first when you're factoring is your GCF. GCF first. Okay, don't forget that. I know we haven't factored in a long time, or at least we haven't factored together in a long time. So in this, a 2 can go into all of them. Okay, so I'm going to pull out a 2. So 2, if I divide each of these by 2, I'm left with x squared plus 2x minus 24. Okay, so then I have to continue to factor this guy. Okay, so that's your big X, or crisscross, like Miss McGaw likes to call it. Okay, so you still need your ABCs, and your ABCs are based off of this guy, so A, B, C. 1, 2, negative 24. Okay, remember, A times C, B goes in the bottom, and your fractions on the side are AX, so in this case, it's just a 1x. Okay, so remember that's AX. So A times C, 1 times negative 24 is negative 24. B is 2. Okay, remember you're multiplying to this guy and adding to this guy. So I need my factors of negative 24. Okay, I'm going to ignore the negative sign for right now. I'll deal with him later. 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. All of those make 24. Okay, which one can make a 2? That can't make a 2. No, no. Okay, this one can. So I need a 4 and a 6. But to make a positive 2, it has to be 6 minus 4. Okay, so that guy's positive, that guy's negative. Okay, can I simplify my fractions? Nope. So x minus 4, x plus 6. But you're not done. This was only this part. You still have the 2 out front. Okay, so your final answer, breaking my pencil. Your final answer, okay, final answer is 2x minus 4, x plus 6. That should be y equals. Okay, so this is your final answer. Okay, and up here, this was your final answer. Okay, the last thing you need to know is average rate of change. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this video real quick because I don't want to run out of time, and then I'll start back up on the next video. Hold tight, guys.